All right, guys, I am here at the Teach Them Diligently conference in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. And one of the things I love to do on the PodCatechist is make you guys aware of some wonderful resources that will not only catechize you, but also help you catechize your kids. I got to sit down with Adam Morgan from Patch the Pirate. And if you've never heard of Patch the Pirate, you're going to love this episode because you're going to find out about something that has been a huge blessing to my family. And if you do know about Patch the Pirate, you're also going to love this episode because you're going to hear some wonderful stories about the history of Patch the Pirate and the wonderful blessing that it's been to families since 1979. And so please enjoy this interview, and when it's over, go check out Patch Plus, download the app, try a subscription, and show it to your kids, and I guarantee you they are going to love it. So enjoy the interview. This is me sitting down with Adam Morgan, Commodore from Patch the Pirate. Mr. Commodore, sir.
Yeah, sir.
My first question for you, what's your real name?
Commodore Morgan. That's what I go by. No, real name's Adam Morgan.
Okay.
And I am Commodore because of what I play on the Patch the Pirate series.
Okay, fantastic. So
I became Commodore. I used to be Captain of the Guard.
Yes?
But we changed it to Commodore because we already had Captain Patch, and Captain Morgan was kind of already taken. So went with
That's
Commodore.
Perfect.
So.
That's perfect. Okay, I have just a few questions for you. First, I have a lot of listeners who maybe have never heard of Patch the Pirate.
That's shocking. No. Like, what have they been doing with their lives?
Well, I have a lot of parents that listen, and I mean, Patch the Pirate's been such a wonderful blessing to my family, and I think it would be great if you could just share what it is, maybe a little bit of the history, and what is Patch the Pirate? Like, tell us about what you do.
So it's been around since the 70s, and it started when Ron Hamilton, who was a singer-songwriter at the time, a music professor at Bob Jones in Greenville, and he lost his eye to cancer, and so he wore an eye patch, and he was already writing music, and he had even written some kids' songs, and when he got to church, to do their kids thing, all the kids called him Patch the Pirate. They were, because he wore a patch, and he thought it was hilarious. And so he started going by the name, and then they were doing a recording for kids. His father-in-law, Frank Garlock, which some people might know, he was a music writer and arranger back in the day. He had started Majesty Music, and so they were going to do a kids recording. And he said, hey, I have an idea. What if we make the character Patch the Pirate have some lines in between these kids' songs? And so he had written a bunch of kids' songs, including Jonah, which was the first Patch the Pirate song, and David and a few other songs. And he just said some lines and added some other characters. And his wife, Sissy, or her real name is Shelley, she was supposed to be on it, but she had laryngitis the morning of the recording, and so he was cutting her. And she was like, no, don't cut me, I want to be something. So all she could do was squeak and squawk, so she became Sissy Seagull. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're like, you've already lost me. But if you know, Sissy Seagull has a very unique voice in the adventure, and that is why, which is a great piece of history.
And she maintained that voice.
She still does it. Yes, she tries to retire every year. There's been 47 adventures. We've done one a year, which is crazy because she's only 29, so I don't know how she's been on that many. But so they had these characters, and they put it out there, and it went pretty crazy. People loved it. They said, hey, are you going to make more of these? He had no plans to. And then was like, why not? So the next one, he actually wrote a story, Patch the Pirate Goes to Space. And then that one went well. And so then he did Patch Goes West, Patch Goes to the Jungle.
Is that Patch the Pirate Goes to Space? Is that the one where he jumped off a crane for the
picture?
For the picture,
yeah. They were LPs. This is before I was born. I don't even know. I'm telling you stories I don't even really know. But it was a vinyl. And they did the cover, and they took it at night, and he was on a crane dressed as a pirate, jumping off and swinging, and they were taking a picture so they could get the stars, and it's good to say Patch the Pirate Goes to Space. So cool. We've come a long way. Now they're like
we're not jumping off of cranes anymore.
Yeah, no, that's an older one, Kukwaka Woods. They went to like the Illustrator And then, there's 40, I think 47 is, I think we're working on the 47th one now. So, but in them, everyone has a Bible character lesson or a Bible story that it's teaching. Almost all of them, I think everyone has the gospel weaved in. And they're very funny. That's what most people think of when they think of Patch. They think of the music and the comedy, and that ties in. Both of those are tied into the Bible lesson and the gospel. And it's a fun way to present truth, a very memorable way. In fact, I just had a guy come by, probably in his mid-50s, and he started singing Poochie Lip Disease. And he was like, "This is my favorite song." And I was like, "If your favorite song in life?" And he's like, "I think so." So it sticks with you, for some people.
That's great.
So,
I mean, I know that for me, we took a road trip to North Carolina with our two kids, and at one point it's the middle of the night and we're driving and the kids are asleep and I'm still listening to Limerick the Leprechaun and I'm crying. I'm like having like an emotional spiritual experience like listening to this, and I'm an adult. I'm like, it's getting me.
But
man.
that really is the power of storytelling and of music. There really is a lot of power in music. There's a reason God had us worship him with music. It moves the emotions. Aristotle said music was the language of the emotions, and it really does. It drives your emotions sometimes. And so I think it's such a great way to present truth and the gospel to kids in a way that, it's not always easy to do that. Like when you sit kids in front of a pastor and they're gone, they're not paying attention. But when you bring these characters and you bring the story to life, and then just like when you're listening, you get into it, and all of a sudden the sucker punch of the point of the spiritual thing hits, and it helps give it weight and understanding. I've been shocked by how many kids will get letters that will say, "I'm a missionary in Zambia or something, and I was called to missionary service listening to Patch Fire Goes to the Jungle." They even remember when I was 6 years old listening to Patch Fire Goes to the Jungle. You're like, what? Or kids that got saved listening to it. So I grew up on it, homeschool kid in Texas, and it was huge for me as a kid. My kids love it. We love continuing it. But it really came from Ron taking a tragedy. That's really been the testimony of the whole story, as he lost his eye to cancer, which is a pretty awful thing to go through. But a trial ended up becoming, one of the biggest blessings in this big ministry that they've been able to have. He wrote the song "Rejoice in the Lord," which some people might know, which is his testimony song. And they have really had a whole series. I won't go to the whole story, but they've repeatedly through their lives had major trials. That was just the first of many. I mean, dementia, serious mental illness with a child, the loss of a child, through suicide. So they've just been through so many trials through their lives. And really each time it's like God uses it to bring a new lesson or a new moment, like "Rejoice in the Lord," or Shelley's testimony of "Always Good," the book she wrote about dealing with mental illness in your family and with a child and going through that dark valley. There's just, you can praise God through the most awful trials you can go through. And in fact, not just, praise him and get through it, you can bless others and you can have a ministry. And I've always been struck with how the years that Jonathan, their son, that was dealing with that, going through the worst mental illness and, really losing his mind, and they're living with that, trying to deal with it. And you listen to the Patch Adventures they were writing, and you would have no idea. They're joyful and uplifting, and you would have no idea what they're dealing with at home. And I think that's just a testament to, God. He calls us to minister to others. He calls us to praise him through whatever we might live through on this earth, and even the most awful, valley of the shadow of death that you could live on this earth. God is in control. He's sovereign. He's good. Right. There's something to praise about and to bless others. And so that is Patch the Fire. That's the ministry. That's the heart of it, and we love keeping it going for those same purposes. And you are keeping it going, man. You are. So what is your role with Patch the Pirate now? I mean, because Ron Hamilton, for those who don't know, Patch, who started this whole just incredible legacy. And we all call him Patch. Yeah. Everybody says nobody calls him Ron Hamilton, or ever did. Like, if you knew him at all, it was Patch. That was what he went by. But keep going. Sorry. But he's with the Lord now, but you guys have continued to make adventures every year. And so what is your role in that? Like, what do you... Yeah, so I married his youngest daughter, Megan. She played Princess Pirate, if you've heard the adventures before. And we came on in I'm going to forget the year. I feel like it was 2014. We did Kilimanjaro was the first one we worked on.
Great.
And I'm a
Another
lawyer.
Great one.
Oh, good. I like that one too.
My daughter loves that one.
Yeah. Oh, good. Well, so I was in law school or just finishing law school, actually studying for the bar at the time. And Ron asked Megan and I if we would consider helping him write a story. And I had done creative writing in college, and I was like, okay, sure. So literally while I'm in law school and studying for the bar, I'm in the back of the class writing talking elephants. Like I literally came up with a hypochondriac elephants sitting in property law. Isn't that terrible?
That's so
yeah,
good.
I literally did.
Great.
I did. And so that was a moment where I was like, maybe my life's going to be different than I thought it was going to be.
Than you thought.
Yeah, but anyway, he had us produce that one, so we did the casting and all that, and even that was the first time I wrote a song was for that adventure. And he liked it and said the next one, he was like, I want you to do the whole thing. I want you to write it and cast it and everything, and we'll just pass it to you. That was Ocean Commotion, was our first one where Megan and I had full reign to
That's incredible.
make it ours. And we loved it. We loved the whole experience, and it's very creative. It's at the outlet. The actors are great. The music's really fun to do. So we've done it since then. So I think we're on our 10th or 11th adventure now.
Okay.
So my wife and I.
And the most recent one that you guys came out with was
Danger in the Deep.
Danger in the Deep.
Yeah.
Which is
and then
so
we're working
good.
on the new one.
That's,
you like that one?
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
I like that one too.
Loved it, man. It was absolutely fantastic. It's another.
I love the themes.
The themes are incredible.
Yes. And, there's some actually pretty heavy themes with
yeah.
authority and like the
Ten
sun.
Commandments.
Yes.
Yeah, just incredible. Maybe one well, let's do this first actually. But for those who have never listened to a Patch adventure before, walk through just briefly what the experience is like, because you've mentioned music, storyline, this sort of thing. What is a Patch adventure? What is that going to be like?
It's really a musical. It's a musical adventure. You're going to listen to it like you would a musical. There's scenes, and then they break into song regularly, throughout. And so they're comedy, which is one of the big features of Patch that makes it different than a lot of other things, audio adventures you might
and it's
run
genuinely
into.
funny.
Well, we try.
It's so funny.
It's not always easy.
Yeah,
a lot of
we
puns.
We were talking earlier about the homeschool jokes in there that are just tucked in.
I do slip in some homeschool jokes. As a former homeschooler and currently homeschooling kids.
It's so great.
But yeah, that's really what it is. And everyone, like I said, teaches a theme, a Bible lesson, or a character building theme with the gospel. And yeah, you're going to laugh. You're going to sing along.
You're definitely going to cry.
You're probably going to cry at some minute. Yeah, it definitely has all the emotions.
Yeah, the full range.
Yeah, we try.
Yeah,
so,
if you're on a road trip and you just listen to one full adventure from beginning to end, if you're not crying by the end of it, something is wrong with you. You are the problem. Yeah, that's what I think for sure. Age range.
It really depends. Whatever I say, somebody's going to go, I can't believe he said that. Because I would think between 2 and 12, anywhere in there. But then I have people that are like, I put my kids to bed right away when they're babies. And
that's true too.
And then people saying, I'm 90 and I listen to everyone. So it's like,
I'm an adult, man. I'm getting a kick out of it. It's really, really incredible.
But yeah, there's definitely older. In fact, I just had some teenagers come and they're like, I know it's more geared for kids, but I love it. So, yeah, but that's the main thing. I would say it's anywhere from that preschool to 6th grade.
So maybe another question I can ask, because you're very much the writer or one of the writers for these adventures. What's that process look like? How do you approach it in terms of picking a theme or I've noticed that there's always a biblical concept that it's rooted in, whether it be learning to tell the truth or authority or whatever. So what's your process like when you're...
That is the main thing, is the theme.
Yeah.
Picking that first and really making everything support that. The setting, obviously the teaching is the lowest hanging fruit, but even the villain, the conflict, all of it needs to package well the music too, and what biblical lessons can support even side things. So it is a process for sure, pretty involved. I am the producer now and the writer, so I write the script and then write music along with my wife, and then Ben Needler is a newer writer that does a lot of music arranging and then also writes original songs. if you've heard like Mystery Island and heard Coffee, Coffee, Coffee,
Yeah.
that is a Ben Needler original. So he does some
My
really
daughter
funny.
gave me such a hard time about that song because I drink a lot of coffee.
You do? I do too.
And so my daughter was like, coffee, coffee, coffee. Like she was like pumped about it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, she wanted to listen to it over and over again. She's like, this is Dada's song. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
a nice one, but that's
It's
one
great.
that Ben does. And so we work as a team, especially on the music. But with the writing, you know, we'll walk through different options. In fact, we have a meeting coming up this week where we walk through different themes, different like brainstorming ideas with where are we going to go? Where has Patch not gone before? Because I mean, 47 adventures, we've been a lot of places. And so a lot of that, you know, you just have to get all the right things together, start making it fit. And it's interesting how when I'm working on it, it starts falling into place. And then you have the aha moments where it's like, yes, that connects with that and that supports that and that. Yeah, and so that's the main thing, though, is figuring out the theme and then really writing the whole thing. And I would say I've been trying to work on that more as I've done it longer. And I think we're getting better at it. Like Tale of Two Siblings and Whale of a Tale and then the Danger in the Deep. I think the characters and the conflict and everything work well thematically.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. Whale of a Tale is another great. The opening is incredible.
Yeah.
It's like, as soon as it starts, you're in it.
Yeah.
It's just incredible. All right, I'm not going to take too much more of your time here, but where can someone go if they want to learn more about Patch, find Patch, listen to it? What are some of the avenues for that?
You can find some of the music on Apple Music, Spotify, all those type places, Amazon, even YouTube. There's a lot of the music there. If you want to listen to the adventures, there's only a few of them that you can listen in those places. You can get them at majestymusic.com, the downloads or the CDs. A lot of people still like the physical CDs. There are 47. So if you're wanting to listen to the whole collection, the easiest place would be the app. We have a Patch app. If you look up on the App Store, just look up Patch the Pirate or Patch Plus app, and it comes right up. And it's a subscription for $6.99 a month. And so, and it has there's a Patch movie. Operation Arctic was animated and is a movie, and it has all the YouTube sing-along videos and all the Patch adventures.
All right, Mr. Commodore, sir, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Good to be on with you at this convention.
At the convention.